Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is more of my Dark Anniversary. This time we're in the Demon Ruins, and I apologise if my voice on these last two videos, or three videos, sorry, has been a little bit funky. I was out drinking last night, and you know, if you drink enough, your throat can definitely feel it. That being said, I didn't drink that much. I wasn't drunk by the end, which was a bit of a shame. I had a good buzz on, I had a good night, and I'm just, you know, the old throat is definitely feeling it. But this is a new player, probably playing the game, probably in New Game Plus something. He's got his combustions and things, his black flames, he's got his katana, he's got his extremely heavy armor, and he likes to try for backstabs, but I've played Dark Souls quite a long time now, so I know how to counter most of them, unless the lag is really bad. He tries to flask a little bit, but the Lloyds takes care of that. And I think I mentioned this in a stream the other day, but I would really like to see a Lloyd's upgrade path, like Allfather Lloyd's upgrade path. And I would like that blue aura that you see on people when you Lloyds them to emanate from the sword. Because I think it'd be really, really cool. And I don't know how to balance it. It'd definitely take some tweaking. But just the concept of being able to hit a host and stop him from being able to heal, to me, is a fantastic idea. So it's something I would really like to see. But this is kind of funny. This is a dude hosting in the Catacombs. He was AFK, so I shot him with an arrow. And he's just not really doing much. And you'll notice he's got two talismans, and this room is really small, so the WOG can definitely take advantage of you. And that's what he tries to do. He fires off a ton of WOGs. He fires off one of the grave dancers, Grave Lord dance, and I roll up here, pop my blossom, and he comes up here and he starts popping more WOGs. And yeah, not really much to be said there, except for I should have rolled it through the WOGs, and I didn't. But it's okay, because I invade him again, and he doesn't have any poise, so I'm going to use that hopefully to my advantage, and I'm going to try and kill him. So let's have a look. Quick hit there, miss that hit there, get hit there, Jesus Christ. I hate Wrath of the Gods. It's so useful, it's so good, and it's so, you know, frequently used, and it never took any patches, it never got tweaked at all, and yet they tweaked everything else. That some things that didn't even need tweaking, they tweaked, and yet they kept Wrath the same. And it makes me wonder if they weren't exposed to it, or if they only watched the Japanese, like, you know, pro scene where they're all, you know, running around with great clubs and hornet stabbing each other. Because they tweaked the hornet stab, you know, they tweaked backstabs in general. Like, I didn't really mind the old backstabs because, you know, if you got insta-killed backstabbed, what did you really do? All you did is die. But when you get people with 9 stacks of Wrath of God, it just turns into a circus. And I've just never understood how it never got any tweaking. And a lot of people think it's really, really easy to dodge, and on certain connections it really can be, but I get hit by it almost as much as I evade it. It's one of those spells that always seems to catch me out sometimes. And this host comes along and backstabs me with a Chaos Zweihander, and then I get flattened on the wake up, which is always insulting, but fun to watch anyway. So, this dude could have gone to the door, he could have fought the boss, I gave him enough time. You didn't see that because I've edited these videos in a way that it's as exciting as I can make it with none of the waiting. But I gave him time, he made a choice, and he decided to attack me, so thus we put ourselves in this situation. And it is really funny that a lot of people like to defend, you know, new players or players trying to get through the level. Because a lot of people say that, you know, he's just trying to play the game, and stuff like that. And it's fair that he is just trying to play the game, but the moment that he engages an invader, he's fighting online, he's fighting against a human, and it's a completely different game at that point. And I kept that in there. Did you see what Solaire was doing? That guy is a master toggler, try and stunlock him. Dude was switching like a beast. But this is just somebody I caught in the middle of Anor Londo. I get some bleed off on him because he's using, or him or her, you know what I mean. He's using the Grave Lord sword. I go for the parry. I mess it up because that sword on my internet, like, it's not even worth trying. You know, I watch these streamers and they set up parry it, and then I try and set up parry it, and my internet just goes, nope, not having it, see you later. Every time. Like, it's just, it can get very frustrating, but this is the the Royal Woods, and this is two friends or strangers that are questing their way through the arduous forest, and I've come along to ruin their day. And it's that moment where what you didn't see before this was me taunting them from the other side of the hill, and they just wouldn't come. They kept over here, you know, where they'd cleaned the enemies out. And I've never really understood that, because I think chasing invaders into enemies is pretty fun. And if I had a Phantom with me, and I was going to do that, which, you know, I don't really do that, because I don't really do co-op, but if I were to, I like to think I'd be creative and proper get in there and get all exciting, and instead we get, you know, the safest players on the planet who smash me with a bunch of spells and stuff. But back in the Royal Woods, guy pops his Blossom, got a lot of pieces of Havel on, so I fire some arrows at him. I'm wanting him to run at me, because I am trying to practice toggles on this build, and I didn't expect that. Didn't know he could get past me on the bridge, which, to his credit, he did a fantastic job of doing it, but I was really surprised, because I fought here a lot, and normally when you're facing off on each other, you can't get past each other, but just then he did, and he did it again just then, and he got me with a dead angle, so there you go. But interesting fight anyway, interesting random invasion. So, right here, trading with a guy with much more poise than me is just a stupid thing to do. You know, you should never do it, and old habits definitely die hard, but that's why I'm dropping poise down, that's why I'm trying to work on toggling and things, because I think it's just going to make me more observant, and it can be hard at times, but I think it's worthwhile. And then Dark Souls 2 comes out and there's no toggling, and all that bloody work has gone to waste. But we're back in the sunny Kiln, and we're taking on this fellow. And my throat is dry, so I'm just going to take a quick sip. So he's got a Catalyst in one hand and a Katana in his other hand. He's wearing Paladin's gear, and it looks like he's got Elite Knight leggings. But it didn't do much because he died, unfortunately. This is amazing, this one. I edited out the full fight because me and this guy fought for about 5 to 10 minutes. And there was a lot of healing happening. He used a lot of his flasks. I used some Divine Blessings, which I know a lot of people don't like. But it was just that kind of fight. It was really, really funny. Because he's obviously a new player. And we were back and forthing it. And I was having a lot of fun with him. And he was doing what he could and things. And it was a really interesting encounter. I mean, look at him. This guy is on his first playthrough. Almost guaranteed. And we fought for literally like 10 minutes. We were doing all sorts, backstabbing, parrying, all sorts of weird things. And I can't parry this guy for the life of me because it just doesn't work. Interesting phantom range too. But we had an amazing set of fights here where we both nearly fell off, and it was really, really silly, really fun. And afterwards, he sent me a message saying, "Great fight." And it was just that moment where I felt like it wasn't a great fight because I did a lot of backstabs to him, you know, he was doing a lot of healing, I was healing with an item that people hate, yet this guy, you know, without that preconceived notion, without that judgment, all he saw was a PvP match between two players on a game that he's enjoying, and I thought it was amazing. So I sent him back a really nice message, because it's people like that that remind me why this game is so great. Because for every person that wants to drop these, you know, standards on you and tell you how you should and shouldn't play, or how they want you to play and things of that nature, there's a person like that comes along that just plays, does what he can, does what he wants to do, and even when he loses, he had fun. And I think that's great, and it's good to see, even now, you know, like 2 years into Dark Souls life, that we can still have that kind of mentality. And I'll be completely honest, it wasn't a good fight. It was one of those silly Laurel and Hardy kind of fights, but, you know, he enjoyed it, and I think that's great. And now we're back in the Kiln, and we've got this guy who's running away with a Thief build, going for parries. And that's all he's doing. All he's doing. And I just... like... when you use a dagger, it doesn't do a lot of damage, you know. Bleed can be built up, but it takes a while. Like, you don't have to just parry and backstab. You can be creative, but you have to be aware that you're going to be challenging yourself. Using a dagger against somebody who's built to PvP is one of the hardest fights you'll ever have, unless you're doing criticals. And I just... personally, this is not saying you shouldn't do it, guys. This is just me sharing my thoughts on it. I personally think it's really sad when somebody just does, you know, 2 different techniques, on a weapon that has moves and has different things. And like this katana, I'm not doing a lot of the, you know, the R2 moves, but I'm doing the roll attacks, I'm doing the running attacks. You know, every so often I'll do a jump attack, I'm trying to pull my bow out and things. I'm trying to do, you know, interesting things when I can with a weapon that is fantastic but limited in certain perspectives, which is the R2s I really don't like. But just when someone pulls a dagger out and you immediately know how they're going to fight, it ruins the chess of it. You know, it ruins the mind games. He's not pulled the dagger out to taunt you or to get fancy or to do something crazy like reverse roll you off a swing or a toggle. He just runs up to you and swings his weapon and swings his shield, sorry, and then you run around and you backstab him, and it's just a shame that people still do things like that. And then you send them a message, excuse me, you know, trying to say that you want to be careful with your parries and try and learn the timings so that you can land them more, you know, more often, more frequently. And then they send you a message back that's just really smug and childish, like they can't stand losing. And for the most, I don't really send messages anymore on Dark Souls because it's got to the point where for every nice message you get a million wankers sending hate, and it seems really strange. You know, a lot of people say it's those Call of Duty kids that come along and treat it like Call of Duty, but I don't think it is. You know, I think sometimes you can catch people on a bad day where they just want to send you hate. Like I asked a guy the other day what level he was because I was curious, and he just called me a laggy backstabber, and I've got that fight recorded. I didn't backstab him. All I did was counter a backstab that negated one, so neither of us took damage. You know, there was no backstabs involved because after that he just got chipped down, and it's just really strange that that's all the person saw after in that fight. But this is interesting. This is a guy going through the kiln. He doesn't look set up to PvP. This looks very much like a PvE build. But he's spacing me, he's being a little defensive, but every so often he's attacking and he's clipping me with the weapon. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. And because of the geometry of the kiln, it's difficult for me to get close to him. And he heals, because, you know, that's what he's always going to do. I do have lloyds, but you'll notice I'm not using them that often, because I'm trying to make some of the fights last a little bit longer. Because some of the matches I've had on this build have been absolute whitewashers. Like, there's a lot that I've not even shown, because I'll just go into a world and the guy's got no poise and he just gets either stun locked or he's rolling so much that I'm hitting him mid-roll and it's doing counter damage and hurting him a lot. And those fights are, you know, they're good if you want to bolster your ego, but what the hell's the point in that? Don't understand, you know, just showing nothing but wins. And is it, well, I understand it, because watching somebody have a really awesome montage of stuff is really, really good, but I think it's more of a reflection of the person than anything else. For instance, if I were to do a big montage of what I perceive to be, you know, really impressive gameplay or really fun gameplay, I would probably like to throw a silly one in there just to keep people off balance. Because I prefer the funny ones more than the really skillful ones. But that's obviously because I'm a scrub casual and a bad player. Which, I don't really like the word scrub, but I'm not going to talk about that because everybody else seems to. This is a paladin dude. He's got a dark silver tracer, and as you can see, all he wants to do is stab my rear with it, and he's back again. So hopefully he's learnt from our last fight, and he's going to try and do some of the R2s, maybe poison me, or something else. So we'll see what he's up to. I pull the bow out, put a few arrows his direction, he's running at me, do a quick slash to lure him in, doesn't come in, do a kick, he rolls back again. Yeah, really strange. I'm all for rolling. I love me some rolling, guys. Don't get me wrong, I am a fan of being agile, but some people make me look, you know, strict with my rolls. So I put the gold tracer on because I know what he wants. And I'm going to test him with the majesty that is this crazy weapon. Like, I hope there's a lesson there, but there probably isn't. Uh-oh. Big guy, big armor. That's a parry. Can't riposte because the critical modifier is not turned on. Thank you very much, Dark Souls. GG. So, as soon as he realises I can parry, he summons a friend. This guy's a genius, man. I had a lot of fun with this player. I assume he's new. He's kind of wearing the internet equivalent of everything one needs to win minus skill. Which you could say about my build, I guess. but it's all opinion at the end of the day, and it's very subjective. But he died, unfortunately, and I'm hoping he's going to learn from our experiences together. This is a person with a halberd and the sage robes on. And you'll notice, I'm not here to bow, I'm here to invade. You know, Martyr's Brigade said a very poignant thing of duelers like a duelist, invade like an invader. And at the time, I think a lot of people took that out of context and used it to kind of slander him. Because the Brigade does get a lot of shit for sharing his opinion, but you're a Dark Souls channel. You know, when you start putting Dark Souls up and talking over it, there's always going to be people that disagree. Because this is one of the most divided channels on the internet. The most divided game and communities on the internet. So this guy's healed because he didn't like the fact that he got hit. He then buffs his weapon, casts some magic. And it's the Kiln, you know. When you're invading, expect everything. Expect everything and anything, because that's exactly what you're going to get. And this person's going to try and... Oh, here comes the Darkbeard. Interesting. But whenever you see somebody with a halberd, even if it's buffed or unbuffed, they're going to look to counter hit you, because that's what they all do. So I pop a Divine Blessing, because he healed, I'm going to heal. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I don't mind them, guys, and I don't mind using them. So, you know, make of that what it is. But if you are of the opinion that's really against it, and you're getting ready right now to write a really, you know, poignant and important thought of why people shouldn't use Divines, please save it, because, you know, I've had so many people do that, and it just gets to the point where I disagree, you disagree. We should agree to disagree and move on. But another invasion, another guy with a bit of magic, a couple more Crystal Soul Masses, and a buffed Zvi. Interesting. So this guy's full Giants, Grass Crest Shield, interesting range on a parry there. I don't know what he was expecting. Is he going to do parry my arrow? And that I don't get either. Very strange. So here he comes. Unfortunately. Oh! Bloody hell, I thought I was going to miss that. Wow. Why did that do so much damage? Interesting. I'd like to watch that again, but I'm recording, so unfortunately I can't. But somebody just did Tranquil Walk of Peace, so I'm not staying around to find out. They've also got Solaire, which... He is a confession of a Dark Souls player. I have never saved Solaire. I have never summoned him against Gwyn. Not even once. And I might have beaten this game now over 100 times. And I have never summoned Solaire. And I love it when people, you know, say how many times they've beat Dark Souls. And there's always somebody that comes out like, oh, I've beat it 1,000,000 times. Or you haven't beat it that many times. You're full of shit. Which is kind of funny, because in the last 2 weeks, I've beaten it 14 times on the same account. And you might be thinking, why the hell would you do that, Chris? Well, I'm actually going to make a video showing why I'm going to do that. And I'm hoping it's going to stop or prevent some future comments from the same people that like to bag on about the same subject. I know it won't, because I'm being optimistic and the internet's a shithole, but, you know, I'm optimistic. Iron me. So, we've already seen this fella before. He's very heavy armour, very big sword, and doesn't understand the concept of swinging away. This is not signs, we are not aliens that don't like water. You really need to plan your shots a little bit better, my friend, and then maybe you might hit me. So, he tries to summon another phantom. If you're new to my channel, and this is the first video you've watched, whenever someone summons a phantom, everything goes out of the window. Every preconceived notion I have in an invasion, or any of my standards of honour, or whatever you want to call it, if I'm using them at the time, everything dead, dies, everything goes. You know, I'm not going to put on a modded weapon or anything, or pull out Ancient Pulse or any of that stuff, but I'm still going to do anything I can to kill them, because at that point the fight is ruined for me. And this guy's healing a lot, but you expect it, so it's okay. And I'm actually getting over my healing thing. I've just got to the point where I kind of accept it from everyone, because everybody does it. You know, it's funny that Divine Blessings get such a bad rap when there's healing all the time, This is the same guy, by the way, in different armor. And once again, parry doesn't work because of the fucking modifier. Not the modifier, sorry, because the critical detection isn't activated. And this time he's using Power Within on a lighter build with the Black Knight Halberd, and he heals again. Like, God, come on, please, dude. Just give me that one courtesy. But he doesn't, and I don't really expect him to, I'd just like him to. And he kills me. So there you go, he gets a victory after all those fights. And I hope he enjoyed it, because what does it achieve in the end? And that's why I always find it funny when people do the whole, oh, I beat you, I'm so good at Dark Souls, I'm so much better than this player. Like, I go on some of the most impressive looking Dark Souls videos on YouTube, and I see people in the comments who are like, I am so much better than you, all you do is backstab and parry, I'm not cheap like you, I don't cheat. And you just think, where were these people born? Like, how the hell did they even live to be this age where they could cognitize on the internet in private surroundings? Like, it makes no sense. You know, these are the motherfuckers that are so arrogant that they think an 18-wheeler should pass by them on the middle of the road as opposed to them moving out of its way. You know, like, they're so entitled that it should stop. And I hope they are, because they're going to test that theory one day and they're going to turn into, like, a fleshy paste on the middle of an interstate. But it's just crazy that they leave these horrible comments on people who are putting up really good, really fun stuff, and they just hate. And you can drop the cliche, you know, platitudes and what you have, where it's like, haters are gonna hate, which everyone hates. You know, hate is the new black. And it's just, none of it's ever valid. It's really not. But we've got an interesting guy here. He's got a very big shield, he's got a very big sword, and did you see that just then? He didn't expect to stun me. I love when I see that. When they hit you, and then they panic because they've noticed that you're stunned, but they're too late to capitalise on a second hit. So I'm just being evasive. I'm watching him get poisoned. I think he's going to... Oh, he's going for parries. So I'm going to test his parry ability by spamming my weapon. But yes, this is a little bit, so... Very close to getting the kill. Come in, get the counter backstab. Change to my fist because... Why not? Throw our Lloyds on him, see how much fun we can have with this guy. So, do a couple of knees, but he blocks it. And I'm wondering right now what's going through his head. You know, does he think he can win? Does he think, you know, does he think he's outmatched? What does he think? What would you think during this moment? You know, you're getting backstabbed, you're missing your attacks, the person you're up against is on a faster build than you, and you're poisoned, which is probably going to run out pretty soon. He's going to try and heal too, you can see him. He's going to get a surprise though when he does. Oh, maybe not. Oh, and he's rolling. But I always like to think what people are thinking when I'm fighting. Just for the mind games of it. You know, does he think he's going to land a parry? Like, where does his strategy take him at this point as I go in for a backstab? Because now he's obviously noticing his life is quite low, and he's going to want to heal. Everything in his body's going to want to heal. And he just tried, so I start throwing Lloyds at him, which is always great. And he tries again. Wow. So, he can't heal now. For some reason, his flask won't work. He's being poisoned. He's trying to heal again. It's still not working. Like, I'm really curious. And I wonder what he thinks just happened. As I do a nasty taunt. And that's the end of the video. And he indicts me, which is nice. But it's, you know, I'm always fascinated with what's going through his head, you know, at that moment. Just the sheer bafflement of how he can't heal. And he has flasks. Why won't he let me flask? But that's Dark Souls, and that's why we love it. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.